I'm 50 years old. Yes, 50 years old, yes. I was born 50 years ago in a small town called Almeida. I did my studies in France. Then I worked in Libya, in Norway, in Algeria, in Indonesia, in Singapore, and in London. Then 6 years ago I said, okay, time to give back to the country. Let's do something. So I dedicated the last 6 years of my life to the community through the political arm, which is we created a party, ran election, won election with the team. So I was one of the guys who wrote the constitution, the Tunisian constitution. One of the guys who you see sometimes on the TV that they are screaming at each other. Once we finished the constitution, I was re-elected, which probably I have done something, I didn't do something too bad, so I was re-elected, and I spent a couple of years as a Minister of Technology and Digital Economy. And as a Minister of Technology and Digital Economy, I was fortunate to work with guys like you, with girls and guys like you, and who understand where we are going, because not everybody understands where we are going. So, dear sapiens, are you sapiens? Oh, sorry. Dear Homo sapiens, or dear super sapiens. Because I believe that within the evolution, what's happening, that we are becoming super sapiens. I will talk about history. I will not talk about technology necessarily. I will talk to you about history. The Homo sapiens, which means your grandfathers, discovered tools and a cognitive revolution when there was an eruption in a volcano, when the humanity disappeared practically, only small piece stayed alive, and then they discovered that they need to master tools. So they started to create tools to write, not to write, to draw, to do things, 80,000 years ago. But from the time that they discovered the tools to do stuff, to the time they mastered the creation of the tools through the Industrial Revolution. So they made tools, and they created tools. Who create tools? We call them the usines, factories. So 150 years ago, they created factories. So between the time 80,000 years ago until 150 years ago, humans had tools, but they didn't know how to multiply them in a huge factor. So when they created the factories, the creation of tools changed the world. So these factory, we call it the Industrial Revolution. But if you think about it, 80,000 years, suppose that 80,000 is 24 hours, right? The last 150 years is only 3 minutes compared to the 80,000 years. Which means, if we take the time from the time humanity started to use tools, to the time that humanity started to use tools properly, or to industrialize tools. So if they started at midnight, they didn't manage to master it only in the last 3 minutes, at 23:57 minutes. 3 minutes before midnight being today. So what happens? Which means there was a long period of learning, and suddenly we create these factories, then things changed radically. So there is a jump. So humans started to understand data 12,000 years ago. How? We call it la révolution agraire. How do you translate that? They started to master earth, to master animals. They started to know the cycles of winter, summer, etc. And they started to put seeds on earth, and suddenly they started to grow food, etc. So they started to understand data 12,000 years ago. But from that time, to the time they start mastering data through the internet, internet started 40, 50 years ago. So again, 12,000 years, they started to understand data and use data in their daily life. It's winter, it will rain. It is summer, it will be too hot, therefore we need to harvest in order to get some grains for our food. All that is data. They understand data 12,000 years ago, but they didn't use it and master it really until we got the internet, where data became shared and people started to use it. Again, if you count 12,000 years ago, where we started to understand data, until 50 or 40 years ago, where internet started to master, the human started to master data, and you bring that to 24 hours, it's only the last few minutes, where humans started to make really use of the data. Again, so we know the data, we use it, and then we discovered the internet, or we created internet, and then there is a jump which happened. So in reality, what's happening is something like this. We are going in, do you know what is an exponential curve? It's like we are in an exponential curve of innovation. Let me tell you a few other things, history, which demonstrate what I'm trying to say. Cars were invented, when cars were invented, roughly? Early last century. Early last century, roughly. From the time Mr. Ford invented the cars until cars became existing and common in every country, it took them 35 years to have cars becoming a normal thing, and that was last century, long time ago. So it took them 35 years to spread out around the country, around the world. When computers were invented, it took them 20 years to be spread out everywhere. When internet was invented, it took internet 15 years to become everywhere. When Facebook was invented, it took Facebook 7 years to become everywhere. When Twitter was invented, it took it only 2 years. When Pokemon Go was invented, it took it only 1 month to become everywhere. And they bring it back. So what I'm trying to say here, that the time of the invention is becoming the propagation of the invention. If something is invented somewhere, it reaches everybody. Only 100 years ago, it took 35 years for an invention to touch all the humans around the globe. Then it's 20 years. Then it's 15 years. Then it's 7, 2, 1 month, 1 minute, anything, any of the games that you are developing, if you develop and it's successful, it will reach the globe within 1 minute. So what's happening? The speed of innovation is becoming really high. What does it mean, really? That we are in an acceleration mode of invention of technology. I use other example here. In 1400s, the printing was invented, the telescope was invented in 1600. Only 400 years ago, people didn't know that the Earth was round. It's not long ago, huh? 400 years ago. Remember, sapiens started 2 million years ago. Homo sapiens, with the cognitive revolution, people with using tools like us, they are 80,000 years old. And only they understood that the Earth is round only 400 years ago. And then the steam engine and the digital revolution, the telegraph, the light bulbs, etc., etc. And then the rate of invention is starting to become quick. What does it mean? Our behavior, our behavior is nothing more than the rate of accepting these innovations. So if we try to make mathematically what is an evolution, evolution is a change of a behavior. Your parents do not behave on a Saturday afternoon. They did not spend on Saturday afternoon like you are spending today. They are spending it doing two things. So there is an evolution, a change of behavior. The change of behavior is nothing more than the speed of adoption of innovation. But as we were saying, that the innovation is going this way, therefore, we are going to change, and the humanity is changing very, 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 very quickly. So, I'm sorry to tell you, or I'm really happy to tell you, that you are there. The evolution of humanity started slowly, slowly, slowly. Now it's accelerating. You are in the most impressive times in the history of the whole humanity. You are at the beginning of the most interesting period in the history of humanity. And depends what you will do with it. So I said, if this is what happened, what will happen in the next 5 years? Or 50 years? What will happen when you guys will have my age? In 30, 35 years, in 35 years, what will happen? Remember, you are here. In 35 years, you will be here. You will be at the top there. When you'll be my age, the evolution will be there. It will be really, really, really fast. Things will happen fast. So the next 5 years, the change in the world will be as much as the last 50 years. In the next 25 years, the change will be bigger than probably the last 1,000 years. But in the next 50 years, I have no idea how to describe the next 50 years. So I said, I read books, I started to look around, put a bit of experience talking to people, to psychologists, to inventors, to scientists, etc. I said, let's imagine what will happen in the next few years. We know that it will be really fast. Really fast. All what you have to do is to keep calm, because you are entering a new era. You are entering a new civilization. I'm not joking. You are in the most interesting time. You are building a new civilization. You are entering a new civilization. I'm sure that you will be the builders of a new civilization. One of the builders of a new civilization. So, let's say when you will have my age. How old is this lady? 60. 100. Today, this lady could be 70. at most, maybe 80. But when you'll have my age, this lady could be 150 or 200 years old. Sorry? In the next 50 years, the average, what you call life expectancies, will be multiplied at least by a factor of 2. And I'll tell you the truth. My father, when I was born 50 years ago, the life expectancy in Tunisia was 57. So when you are born, statistically, you are, on average, you'll be living 60 years. Today, life expectancy is, in Tunisia, 72, 74, on that range. Let's say 75. So only in 50 years, you won as life expectancy 25 years. But as we are moving in an exponential way, and science is, new invention is happening, we will gain in life expectancies 50, 100, and maybe more than that in the next 50 years. Why? Because two things. Technology will help humans. Before, we wait until somebody is sick and we give them medicine. We need to invent the medicine in order to cure him. Now we do more around preventive medicines because the data we have, we preempt what's going to happen. Therefore, we don't eat too much fat, we don't do this, we exercise. Please do exercise, don't do like what I do, etc., etc. Therefore, preventive medicine will help people to live more. But then, biotechnology. If today I lose an arm, can I replace an arm today? Yes. Tomorrow, can I replace a liver? Yes. Oh, not tomorrow, today. Can I replace a heart? Yes. It was not possible only a few seconds ago. In the history of humanity, a few seconds ago, it was impossible to do it. But now in the next few seconds of the history of humanity, you can do a lot with technology for a human body. Nanotechnology, where you have little things in your blood testing things. When cities, who's originally not from Tunis, from far away, from Sousse, from Nebel, etc., from whatever, okay? The distance between your hometown and Tunis, here in Kojit, the distance, there are some arable earth, right? Places where there is places where trees are growing and there is agriculture, etc. When you have my age, whatever your town is, the distance between your town and Tunis will be all built. Because people will live more, therefore they need places to live, therefore we create much more, we will have mega cities. But mega cities will have their own way of living. So people will start to do things like shared economy. Do you know about BlaBlaCar, for example, or Uber? Okay, Uber will come, but Uber or its equivalent will become in Tunisia when we have enough people. And now it's shared economy. So people who had something, they will not use it only for themselves, they will use it with the others, therefore will enter into shared economy. But also will produce so much waste. We will produce so much waste that we will need to make sure that that waste that will enter into clean energy. We will not continue to bring clean technology, whether clean energy. We are bringing not only fossil oil, but will create energy from the sun or the wind, or also even food. Will recycle food. I'm sorry, when you'll have my age, You may eat from the garbage, but you'll eat it in a proper way. People will have, because there will be less farms, people will have urban farming, which they'll have big towers where they are doing farms in it, because there is not enough arable land. And then a lot of things will change by then. By the way, not recently, one of you or one of your colleagues came to me. He wants to put a USB in his shoes. I said, why you want to put a USB in your shoes? He says, very simple. If I take this part, le talon, and I put a piezoelectric sensor and a battery, a power battery in my shoes, then I'll create energy by walking. And when I want to charge my phone, I can just plug it in my shoes. Yeah. Would that work? Yes. Yes, it will work. But there will be plenty of things like that that only a few seconds ago were impossible. Another news. When you will have my age, you may be forbidden from driving. You know why? Because self-driving cars will be better than you. Because they will be less risky than humans. Because everything will be connected. And transportation from here to Gebes or to Sousse or to Siena or to Milano or to wherever, or to New York, there will be shuttles without driverless shuttle. Does anybody knows Elon Musk, Tesla cars? He's working on a project where he puts people in capsules, and the capsules goes in very fast, and then when you arrive, you go out of your capsule, and you arrive. His plan is to make, for example, from here to London in few minutes. In 50 years' time, maybe it will be feasible, because the world will change so much. In 50 years' time, I'm not sure that you will be looking like this, but you could, because you will have augmented human. You will have super sapiens, augmented humans. Today, you are augmenting yourself when it is cold. What do? You put clothes on, right? You augment your resistance to cold. When you don't see well, what do? You put glasses, so you augment your visions. When you cannot, your hand is not working, you can buy a hand and you put a prosthesis that will allow you to do things. Maybe because the robots and the artificial intelligence is becoming more intelligent, because the capacity, the power of computing power is being multiplied by 2 every year. The computing power is being multiplied by 2 every year. Very soon, robots will have as much processing power as human brains. Would they be governing us? No. Maybe. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. I have no idea. Maybe when you'll have my age, to augment your brain, you will be connected. Your blood pressure, will give information on, and it will tell you things that before you don't know. Therefore, the human will be much more stronger than we are today. So these are some of the technologies that will be used in the new world. Wow. I won't be here by then. When you'll be my age, I won't be here. But it doesn't mean that I don't care. Because that world, you are starting to build it now. Remember where you are. You are building a new civilization. You are starting the world you will be living in. When you will have my age, the world will be totally different, but you are starting to build it now. So I care, you care, how this world will be. Good news. There will be no borders. It will be level playing field. Everybody has equality of chances to learn. Why? Because honestly, do you learn from your professors? No, you learn from the internet. The repository of the knowledge is everywhere. Your professors are only helping you to have the methodology to learn. Therefore, whether you are in Tunis, or in Gafsa, or in New York, or in New Zealand, or in wherever in South Africa, you will have the same chances to do whatever you want with your life. Because you will have the same chance to access the knowledge as long as you have a connection, an internet, and a computer. And the willingness to do it. That's a very good news, by the way. Does anybody of you knows what is the UN, United Nations? Who knows what is the UN? Okay. If the UN disappeared today, if the UN, United Nations, disappeared today, what will happen in your daily life? Not much, right? What will happen around the globe? Probably less wars. A bit more or less wars, true? Maybe. Okay? So, does anybody of you knows what is ICANN? Who knows what is ICANN? ICANN is the civil society, the representative of the internet users, and the internet providers, and the people who are the technology providers, and the government, together, in a very small group of people managing the internet addresses. So when you will send me an email, it goes to one place. The routing and the addressing is managed by these guys, ICANN. You know, the .org, the .tn, the .com, the .da-da-da-da-da. So if ICANN disappear today, at this particular moment, does anything change in your daily life? There will be no internet. So even in the power, who is more powerful there? Is it ICANN, 21st century governments, who manage the internet for the world, for the whole world, or the UN, who is supposedly the club of all the central government, all the government? Who's more powerful?
ICANN.
I don't know, but maybe ICANN is at least as important in my daily life, or more important than UN, maybe. So what I'm trying to say, that things will change, and governance, who govern will change. It's not like we do election, then there is the president of the republic, and the president of the republic, or the head of government, whatever he does, that's it, and everybody obey. No, cities, local government, your cities, you will have much more say on your daily life, on what's happening. You will be your own actors in your daily life. What will happen? Who does have friends from a different country? Through the internet, okay? Who belongs to a group? A Facebook group, a football club, or urban. So, I think what will happen is that in the next, when you will have my age from now until then, what is more important, that people will try, there will be more and more international communities of trust. You are in one group, you trust each other because you have a common interest. I don't know what is that common interest. It could be gaming, it could be food, it could be chit-chatting, it could be creating, I don't know what. But you are in a group, in a community of trust. You trust each other because you have a common interest. And you enter that group. If you are not happy with that group, you leave that group, you go to another group, and you have many groups, you belong to many groups. So the world will be managed by community of trust. If you don't trust the group, you won't stay in it, right? So trust is very important in the new world. By the way, money will disappear. Because what is money at the end of the day? It's paper. It's paper which says the central bank, the authority that we trust, says that this paper is equal 10 dinars or $10, right? But do I really need it when I live in a community of a trust where I can exchange goods? I'll give you this, you give me this, and we don't need a third party who witness this, because we live in a community of trust. That will be the end of the... Have you ever heard about blockchain technology? Bitcoins, which evolved towards blockchains. What is it other than a community of trust? You are exchanging some points, some buying points with some phone points with some etc. etc. That is a community of trust, and you don't need a third party to say that that's the value. You manage the value yourself. So the money, as we know it today, will disappear. I'm not speaking about the cash. The cash will disappear with credit cards, obviously. But I'm speaking, even the money era will change. So honestly, you are going to live in a fantastic world that you are starting to build today. Among your groups, you'll have some friends. Then you will go out and you'll become friends with forever, and you will trust that you will do things together, and then you'll create a community. For example, is GoMyCode a community of trust? Yes. No? Yes. I love GoMyCode. I think GoMyCode is a good community of trust, because he's teaching people new things to do good things. What makes in the new world, the question, what makes a super sapien intelligent? Is it the technology, or his brain, the capacity of his brain? Honestly, the capacity of your brain will evolve, and if you don't have enough brains, you'll connect to other brains to augment your brains, right? We said that in the next 50 years, your brain will be able to connect to other brains. When you will have my age, you'll be able to do it. What really is important to me, in my view, is three things. Humanities. That you care about the others, that when you do something, you do it with the right system, value system. That you do good for the others, that you like the other the same way you like what you make sure that what you do for the others is the same thing what you want others to do for you. The values, and there is the most important thing in the superhuman world is trust. The trust that people have in you. The trust that when I agree with you that you will be doing this thing, that people know that you'll be doing it. They don't need to think any. If I know that we agree that you will be doing this thing for me, and you don't do it, I lose trust. When I lose trust in a super fast world, I don't have time to spend with people I don't trust. Therefore, the three main things in my view, after all these researches in technology, etc., for the new world are humanities, values, and trust. And I trust that you'll be creating fantastic world together. Have a very safe journey, have a very good journey in the next few seconds. Thank you.